television in America isn't as mature as it is in England.
No, it's very good in England, yeah. I can't watch TV in America, to tell you the truth. It's such a load of rubbish.
Really?
Yeah, it's terrible. Not the Dick Cavett show, of course.
I wondered.
No, it just drives you crazy, you know, the commercials. You just get into something and it's sorry now, another word from, and another word from. And in the end, you know, they just put commercials on all the time.
But you have commercials too over on your side of the pond.
Yeah, but it's really done good, you know. It's really done good. They show maybe, if it's a 30-minute show, they'll have the commercial at the beginning, then the show will start, and after 15 minutes or so, it'll end, and they say, end of part 1, ding, and then it goes into the commercial, and then the commercials end, and it says part 2. Here it just goes, ding, 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 from one into the next. Yeah. You don't know if it's a commercial or if it's the show. I mean, it does some of the things.
Let's say there are a lot of commercials. I'll give you that. I have a serious question I want to ask you, and I have a feeling we're going to get interrupted before I get to it. But I meant to get into this with John and with you.
Have you ever seen Monty Python's Flying Circus?
Yes. Well, very good.
You want to get that on in America. It's really good.
I thought of trying to get some of that and showing it.
You try and get some
there
clips.
Wasn't time.
It's really good.
Yeah. Can I get to my serious question?
Yeah.
You have this tremendous influence, and you had, when you were together, you had this gigantic influence on the young people, right? And everybody knows that the Beatles went through a drug phase. Did it ever occur to you, or did you ever stop and think of it this way, that the fact that this was known and the fact that you were the Beatles might have caused thousands of kids to go into drug problems that might not have otherwise?
Well, no. Let him ask the question. Let him ask the question. First of all, when we took the notorious wonder drug LSD,
yeah.
It was, we didn't know we were having it. John and I had this drug, and it was given, we were having dinner with our dentist, and he put it in our coffee and never told us, and we never heard of it. I mean, it's a good job we hadn't heard of it, because there's been so much paranoia created around the drug that people now, if they take it, they're already on a bad trip before they start. Whereas for us, we didn't know anything. We were so naive. And so we had it, and we went out to a club, and it was incredible. It was really incredible. So a couple of years later, Paul had the drug too. And the TV people in England came, and they said, so you've had this wonder drug LSD. And he was saying, well, look, it's, you know, the question you asked me about the responsibility for everybody else. Paul said to the TV people, look, I'm not saying if I had the drug, it's you. If you're going to ask me if I've had it, I'm going to say yes because I've had it. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. So he said, they said, well, have you had LSD? And before they asked, he said, it's your responsibility, because if you're going to ask me and I'm going to say yes, and you're going to put it on the TV saying, yes, we've had LSD. So really it was their fault. So they asked the question, Paul said yes, and then they put it on and said, oh, they've had LSD, and then the world goes crazy.
Yeah. I just wondered if if you have to stop and think about, you used the word responsibility, which is always sounds so hokey when your school teacher says you have a tremendous responsibility. But did you ever take that kind of thing seriously and think, we got to watch ourselves, because if we do this, other people will do that?
Yeah, we always had to watch ourselves. Yeah. Because if we weren't watching ourselves, there was somebody else out there who was. Yeah. And there was always reporters who would follow us around on tour and always try breaking into our room, catching us doing something. Yeah. Something maybe that we shouldn't have been doing. And the whole thing is that people want other people to do nasty things because they feed off it. And then they write, they're doing nasty things. It's like in a newspaper in England. I met David Frost the other day. Can I say David Frost, or do you bleep it out?
Once.
Okay. I bumped into him in the hotel, and he said, here, to really bring you down, is a copy of the News of the World. He'd just come from England. He bought this paper, and there's a big story on the front saying...
That's the scandal sheet in England.
Yeah. But it's a big story saying about this group called the Marmalade, how they had orgies with the teenage fans and all this sort of thing. But the whole idea of these reporters going out for months and months, scraping around, lifting up the pavement, trying to see what rubbish there is to write about. And then they write about it as if they're saints and as if everybody isn't doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know where the responsibility... I mean, maybe you just should stay at home and never say anything. That's definitely the easiest.
Or why do people do things just because famous people do them is another question I've never been able to figure out exactly. Anyway,
on with the show.
Here's a happy thought for the holidays from Singer. Let me ask you one other thing, George, because do you have any thoughts on why hard drugs and rock stars have become synonymous? I mean, you can see why if you had a life like Bessie Smith had, or Billie Holiday or something like that, what they went through. If I were them, I suppose I would take anything that was available. But I mean, most of the people in rock haven't had that dismal, grinding, horrible kind of life. That is it in any way a way of emulating those other people who were like those
there's a lot of I mean, a lot of pop people go through a hell of a lot. Just say in 1 year they see so much and they go through so many different things that they either just want to get high. I mean, basically it starts with people who just want to get high, like people drink. I mean, that's a big problem. People have a drink, like I suppose after the show maybe you have a drink just to get a little high. So musicians, either drink a little bit or maybe they smoke a bit, and then they want to get a bit high, and they're sort of really looking for something. And it's the same with all those Bessie Smiths and all those people, because the world is such a hard place to try and make it in. So I mean, they're all just like buffers, all those drugs and things, and I suppose if they get on top of you, they get next to you, and then you can't stop it. I don't know, the hard things.
That's what I wonder, like heroin. I mean, why that? Certainly, hardly anybody's been through anything like those people I mentioned, like Billie Holiday's life. So a life like that, I can see the really violent hard drugs, I suppose, because anything might be better than what they're going through. But unless you're to the point where you can say, I am just in the fires of hell all day, day and night. Why the ones who've killed themselves, your colleagues? Why heroin?
Well, that seems to be the big one.
Yeah.
I'm really unqualified to talk about heroin because I've never taken it, and I really don't intend to. There's, I'm sure it's just, it's probably just the best high. That's what it's down to. It's the one that gets them the highest, the quickest, but it just happens to kill you faster as well. I mean, they all sort of kill you in one way or another. And there's very few people who seem to be able to experience something like heroin and then get away from it, because it just gets in the system and they become dependent on it. I don't know. It's sad, it's really sad, because they're all looking for some deep love or something like that, and they miss it, It's much better to try and not take any drugs, If you can get straight, really straight, then in a way it's much higher. I mean, I'm not really qualified to talk about that either. Yeah. I mean, I'm sort of in the middle,
Indian music and drugs don't mix, as I understand it.
No, there's been a big...
Ravi Shankar said so.
Yeah. There was a problem. The Indian music really got popular during that 66, 67, all the psychedelic period. And I think from that, most people have started to associate it with drugs, because the hippies, apart from the classical people who used to go and watch the music anyway, like the hippie people at that time were the ones who caught on to Indian music, and it just happens that most of them were, either smoking pot or something. And since then, I don't know, maybe Ravi will be able to explain how the two got caught up together, but it's really a problem. It's a problem for Ravi, because he's, trying to do this, spent years and years of real disciplined life in order to play this music, and then people think, he must have taken dope to play that good, and it's really, it's it's a terrible thing, you know, when somebody's, it's completely the opposite. The audience are really misunderstanding what the whole thing's about.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
If we don't go now, we won't.